What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to JDD TV. I'm your host, Josh. The match is coming up that I'm really looking forward to against Uruguay. This is the first test I think Canada will truly have against a side outside of CONCACAF to prepare them for the World Cup. I have my preview all ready for you guys, so hopefully you guys are excited. If you are, as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and let's get into the preview now. Alright guys, let's start off this preview taking a look at Canada. We're going to start with their last 5 matches because after this last win, it's turned to a positive record. Canada is 3 wins, 0 draws, and 2 losses in their 5 matches. And this window they took on Qatar. And I mean, if you didn't see my 5 takeaways video, there's not much to say. It was just a total domination from Canada. They looked so good throughout that match. They looked comfortable. And it's now time for a true test. It was nice to play a side outside of CONCACAF, but turns out that it just wasn't much of a fight. Now we get to take on Uruguay. This one will be a fight, but we're going into it exactly how I'd like to see Canada go into it. Their first match was against Qatar, that nice transition match, kind of back into playing with each other, getting back up to speed, having a good performance, and now it's time for a true test, and I'm really excited to take a look at it. Taking a look at the Uruguay side, in their last 5, they have a 3-win, 1-draw, and 1-loss record, and they've played 3 CONCACAF teams, so we will be their 4th CONCACAF team they've played in recent months, which is wild to think about. In their other matches, they beat Panama 5-0, which was a domination from Uruguay. They looked very good in that match. They drew the USA, but they didn't play their best 11, but regardless, it still seemed like those two were on a pretty similar level. And then they beat Mexico 3-0 in another impressive match. So Uruguay has done pretty well against CONCACAF nations, but at the same time, we also took care of business with the US and Mexico, so as well as Panama, but not recently. But regardless, it looks like this could be set up for a very interesting performance. Now, one also thing that I want to really mention, because going into this window, because as the time of recording, these matches kind of just happened. Canada just got off a really good performance, and Uruguay in their first match this window lost. They lost 1-0 against Iran, which was a bit of a surprising result, and might hopefully, for our sake, throw them off of their rhythm a little bit. They've looked really good and have been in decent form qualifying for the World Cup and playing different friendlies, and now they've got rocked back a little bit, and I'm curious to see if they might tamper with a couple of things and how they're going to line up to take on Canada, but they're not going in maybe with the confidence after Canada just had, after a, no other word to describe it, dominant performance. But because these are friendlies, and it's the last one of the window, it makes this starting 11 for Canada very interesting. Now, when I took a look at what John Herdman kind of talked about, is that this is going to be treated kind of like the World Cup, meaning that your best 11 should be starting in both matches, and players that are going to come off the bench are going to be players that are expected to maybe come off the bench in Qatar and are coming on to make a difference. And in the first match, we didn't see any of the center backs really change around. There was no Cornelius, Kennedy, no Waterman. We didn't get to see Luca Koleosho or Corbina, which I thought was a little telling to me. But we also saw Junior Hoylett, for example, play all 90 minutes. And I also thought that was a little bit telling, because I kind of thinking that this might have an impact on this starting 11, because I thought out of the way I would have set up, I would have done it the exact same way as John Herdman in that first match. But now taking on Uruguay in this kind of 4-4-2 different style system, they did have a ton of possession against Iran, which is worth noting. We had a ton of possession as well against Qatar. So it's going to be a bit of a balancing act to see how it is. And I kind of want to see us start off a little bit differently. So I'm going to line us up in the 3-4-1-2 system / it's going to be 3-4-3. You will see what I mean. I'm expecting Borjan to start as well. I mean, he's our keeper. There's going to be no changes there. At right wing back, I've gone with Richie Larea. He came on at the 45th minute, coming on at halftime. He looked very good and dangerous. And I think there's going to be an opportunity for him to maybe influence the match down that right-hand side. The 3 central center backs are all going to be the same. It's going to be Alistair Johnston, Stephen Vittoria, and Kamal Miller. There's no getting around it. I don't think that they're going to change. It helps adapting in the shape as well. I'd be curious to see if in this match a different center back will come on, because all of them played the entire 90 in the last one. Maybe we'll see, which I was surprised we didn't see, like a Cornelius or Kennedy come on for Miller, or even Waterman maybe come on for the middle. So keep an eye on that, but I do expect Herdman to go with the same back 3. At left wing back, Samuel Adekubi again had a pretty decent performance in my opinion. 2 central midfielders, I wouldn't change it. I really like the performance of Piet. I know like a lot of people were kind of thinking maybe Kay could find his way in there, but I think Piet did everything right. He was subbed off relatively early as well. I would go with basically a player that is thriving at club level and has just proven it once again that he can come in here and do a job. I'd go Piet and Eustachio in the midfield. So that is my 4-man midfield. I mean, with the wing backs and the 3-man back line, all straightforward to me. And then I guess you can have some fun with this. I think the front three will be the same as it was in the last match. So you could go Davies at left wing, probably push Larin out to right wing, and then Davies through the middle. Or you could go with kind of Davies cutting in towards the middle, kind of playing as a can, which a lot of you guys know I personally don't like, but this is what I'm expecting Herdman to maybe do. And then have the two strikers up front with Larin and David, who both scored in the previous match. So it'd be something along those lines. Hoylett played all 90, which is for some reason is telling me that he's not going to start this match, but we shall wait and see. It'll be some type of variety. You could also go with a 4-4-2. That's how just versatile this makes it. Atakubi left back, Johnson right back. Larea can play at right mid, which he can do. He's wing back, right mid. He can attack that way. Davies left mid. I mean, technically we would have 4 fullbacks on the pitch at the time, but you know, it is what it is with John Herdman. You never quite know. Regardless, this is what I'm kind of expecting. This is a version of the best 11 we're going to get. There is news that Tajon Buchanan will be included in the squad. I highly, highly doubt he's going to start, but it would be really nice to see him come off the bench in maybe the 75th minute. I also have big question marks around if Koyosho is going to feature, if Corbeanu is going to feature, Waterman. These players, these minutes to me are telling me that they could play a bigger role at a World Cup. And from what that last match is proving me, it's that someone like Brim and Liam Miller are above a Corbeanu in the depth chart. So I'm really intrigued to see how this match is, or if maybe Herdman treated the subs a little bit differently for the Qatar match. It's a little potentially easier than the Uruguay. A lot of question marks, and this is why these friendly windows are so interesting to see what's going to happen. But that is what I'm expecting. And then taking a look at the Uruguay side of things, I mean, they usually line up in their 4-4-2 system. There's a ton of talent to talk about. At time of recording, Ronald Araujo was substituted off in the 5th minute. That's a massive loss for their back line. Uruguay's had an aging back line for a long time, and he's kind of that spark, the young blood to come in, and to see him go down like that, I hope for him that he's okay. I don't know how long he's going to be out, again, at time of recording. So we're going to see how they're going to cope with their back line. And then you have a player like Freddy Valverde, who's been in spectacular form for Madrid. He looks good for Uruguay as well in the midfield. And then you got up front, which, I mean, you have Luis Suarez. He's gone back to play in Uruguay right now. I don't know what type of form he's going to be in playing at the international level. He's looked good in Uruguay, but it is a much different level than going on this stage. Darwin Núñez as well, who's trying to maybe come in and kind of take over from Suarez and Cavani. So there's a lot of really good, talented players on Uruguay that I think will give us a proper test. And I've been saying it for so long, and I just cannot wait for this match to kick off, because Canada's done it within CONCACAF. Now just got a little bit of taste outside. Now we're taking on a nation that could potentially go for a quarterfinal type of performance, semifinal. This is a nation that is very talented, that is doing it at Common Bowl, and has done it on the international level. That is what we need. Build off of what we just did with Qatar, play Uruguay, then get a very competitive Japan match, which I'm also excited for, to see what they did against the US, and then go into the World Cup in good form. So a lot of little interesting things as well. I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section, especially around the starting 11, because that's what I'm having a lot of trouble with. For some reason, my gut's telling me Larea is going to find a way in, and I'm just trying to tweak it around to see what's going to happen there. And also, at time of recording, Alphonso Davies looks like his knock is nothing too serious. He didn't have ice around or anything like that, so there shouldn't be any major surprises except for Buchanan coming in and maybe coming from the bench. But let me know down in the comments if you agree with my starting 11, if you think they'll maybe go with the exact same starting 11, or if there's going to be a surprise inclusion like maybe an Ike Ugbo type player, or even maybe a Liam Miller starting. Let me know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this match preview. Be sure to join us for the watch along on Tuesday as well. And of course, our 5 takeaways will be posted after the watch along. So be sure to drop a like, guys. Drop a sub. We'll see you soon. Cheers, friends.